Okay. We're gonna flip this. Go to so cool. Here we find ourselves. See if we can get make sure everything's coming in. Do, 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 do. Okay. Just gotta send this real quick. Yo, bro, I make pico de gallo. Check this out. Let me show you. Right now, I got this live going on. I got that, some kraut, but there's color on it. Tastes good. All right. Okay. So the first topics we're basically I'm covering here. This is like Cryptosphere update, which is there's an Arizona bill going on right now that is naming Bitcoin as legal tender, which matters because at the end of the bill it mentions central banks. You know, in the 1830s to about the 1890s, before central bank for North America, the Federal Reserve, you know, U.S. Mint and all those. So in the 1830s to the 1860s, the U.S. Mint was working, but you had wildcat banking. Wildcat banking is when people would open up a bank in a hard-to-get-to storefront location place, for a brief moment and scam people, which is like kind of what you see in crypto. It's like the same thing. Exchanges go bust. I mean, things like this. So, Arizona bill number 1. And then it's cash as a concept. So, hopefully that makes some sense. The cash as a concept thing isn't too tough to understand or wrap your brain around. But with that, let's make some hot swapping adjustments. We're going to do what is known as a hot swap in the IT crypto, not crypto, IT and servers, I guess you call it a server thing, for hard drives. But we are going to hot swap this video feed because it's just how we do this. Okay? So with all things being equal, we're going to go ahead, we clearly, that's the one thing, this Elgato is pretty awesome. But I don't like how the audio carries over, you know, the audio situation with the Elgato and screen capture. It's not necessarily my favorite, but honestly, just to be able to do this type of stuff is kind of flipping hard. Straight. So, all things being equal, we've got a little bit of a bullet point stuff here. So this is here the Arizona bill. What is it? CSB. Right here. Arizona bill. State of Arizona. Senate. Fifth legislature. Second. SB 1341. So Arizona bill 1341. Coming in kind of rough, kind of good. I guess Senator Rogers, that's who puts this in here. But we can see there's one piece in here. Legal tender Article 1. It's very short, but for the purposes of this section, so this is Bitcoin. State authority to make a legal tender. So this would be run parallel with the federal currency, right? Which is what we're seeing in Texas. We're seeing these things in Florida. These things are already clearly founding great roots outside of, you know, one of the biggest national sovereign nation civilizations that's existed so far. 300 or 400 million people all working together. An organization requires them all to speak the same currency or language. Value exchange with strangers. You have to be able to trust what you're receiving to trust that person. Bitcoin means the decentralized, okay? Peer-to-peer digital currency in which a record of transactions is maintained on the blockchain, and new units of currency are generated by the computational solution of mathematical problems. So this is creating money. So this is using electricity to create computational solutions that answer mathematical problems that are running in time. That's the biggest thing. Us as humans have a hard track keeping track of time. Time tracking is pretty savage. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's very hard to keep track of time. You see it if you ever have children. It's really cool. Or if you just journal daily, you'll improve your linguistics, and you'll be able to communicate in a more controlled manner or fashion, similar to running a budget. So if you run a budget in your household, men typically, you would want to do this. This gives you some sort of mental stability. It's actually not. If you tell yourself something is hard, then it's going to be hard. Okay, mathematical problems that operate independently of a central bank. Keyword, I mean, they're talking about that. Independently of a central bank in here. Why is that in there? That, you know, that's pretty heavy. So this means coins that have precious metal content, right? So this is the whole reason the central bank situation exists, and then it comes into fruition, then it disappears because the public loses trust in the society, social, politic, all that stuff. The businesses, what the businesses are asking of them. No, I'm gonna go start my own. All of that. Okay. So we're gonna look at the definition here of this. I don't know how to say this. Species. Well, guess what it is? This is actually an old coinage from the Bank of England in 1795 that held this coinage. This coinage was used 1830 to like 1890, like 150, almost 200 years ago when the U.S. was founded. This money was used to do these startups for a wildcat bank. Different colored paper monies for different regions. Some banks don't trust each other banks, so they don't accept that color of money. But wildcat banking. Wildcat banks used during the 19th century, particularly during the period 1830 to 1860. Wildcat banks earned their name by locating their main offices in remote places. You have to see that in crypto. I mean, that happens with Singapore and places like that. To establish, I mean, there's nothing you can do. This new value exchange is taking over, and it runs on fiber optic pipelines. It doesn't trade inside of traditional financial markets Monday through Friday and then stop on 5 p.m. This new equity, it's here, and it runs on fiber, and it's distributed. And there's no one place to check in and trade in a circle with little things and then stop. It is not musical chairs in one state, one location anymore. geographically, equities, stocks, bonds, volcano bonds like El Salvador's got going on. They're basically what this is. You give me your money, I build volcano thermal mining Bitcoin machines. You get 8% for the next 10 years for this coupon. Here you go. Thanks for the money. Build the mining stuff on the side of these volcanoes. Ireland has so many volcanoes. People cook in the sand up in Ireland. You believe that? Straight. They do. So this coinage was used to create these wildcat bankings that appear and reappear as we go from centralized to decentralized to centralized to decentralized, you know, whatever it is. So the Arizona bill, pretty cool piece of legislature. Very interesting. Probably won't pass, but it is showing that growing trends. That's what we'll call it. The nightmare of deficit spending. So this is kind of where we will get out of the Arizona bill portion, and we'll get into the cash. And we're going to talk about the cash as a concept, because these are big concepts and they do rule your lives. If you make 3 or 4 purchases per day, I try to keep like fun stuff under like $1. Go to maybe Dollar Store, which is now $1.25. So Carter is doing the math, learning that. He's 6. Whatever, you got to figure it out. So when money dies, the nightmare. So deficit spending. When I say cash, I mean cash is just cash is cash. You can print it, you can make it, you can. And guess what? They do. It does. It's a societal deficit spending. Is a society problem. Society problem is a civilization problem, depending upon its magnitude. So depending upon the magnitude of the society deficit spending, the civilization could actually have issues. I mean, the Romans, Germans had a lot of societal problems that manifested and affected the rest of the world. This was due to their currency. They had to pay after World War I more than the country could produce, as their population was like starving already. So that manifested itself into a very strong economic force to ascertain assets through other means. World War II happened after that. So great book, good stuff, thought process. You know, you got to get in that direction of thinking. And so we're talking about cash. So from 1862 to 1913, the Federal Reserve, right? Now remember, roaring 20s. Remember, Great Depression, 1930s. World War II, 1940s. So from 18 to 1913, when the wildcat banks basically disappeared, right? 1830 to 1860. So as the wildcats, it stabilized. Enough people lived in enough states to do enough organization to agree upon a National Banking Act. Federal Reserve notes have been printed from the series 1940. So remember, there is a thing called the U.S. Mint. They mint. They're supposed to mint the coinage, and the coinage was supposed to be the only currency. Okay, kind of cool, interesting. They have $500 bills. It's a couple points, but so we got that. This is pretty fascinating money history, monetary history, societal history, and predictable history. And this is one of the smarter people who begin to realize these things, like these Rothschilds. Their skill set is money and interest rates, really. Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. So said Mayer Amschel Rothschild, the founder of the dynasty. What would make Bitcoin online currency and no issuing? Okay, and this is where the mathematical computation through this new technology called computers actually just removes this problem. So there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can continue on using what you're using on, but in all reality, you're just sitting here staring this sentence in the face. You know, you're not doing the, what was it? peer-to-peer digital currency which records transactions maintained by a Bitcoin blockchain, not a company. There's no person. You know, different societies, different countries, they can ban, they do ban, and banning is totally up to everybody's choice. People just pick up their computer hardware and they leave and they go plug it in somewhere else, and the hash power goes right back up again. It doesn't matter. The geographical location is irrelevant. These nodes populate, update once every 10 minutes. So like in 10 minutes on fiber optic rails, you guys, like, it's nothing to unplug a computer, spend 3 weeks traveling to a different place with lots of those computers, plugging them back in. You missed out on that, those times, those block reward every 10 minutes, you know, opportunities in those mining pools. But in all reality, you're not allowed to do what you're doing. It's taxable income source for those miner people, and the hash power for the network encryption just comes back online. It goes a little bit offline, comes back online. So these aren't fundamental flaws. I mean, you can basically, the game theory is you know, be mad at it and it grows stronger. So it's obviously here. So this is some pretty cool stuff. So with the cash thing, we saw one of the best use cases. So was the first thing ever purchased online was a Pizza Hut pizza. The reason that I know that, it comes from Gary Gensler's speeches at MIT about 2 or 3 years ago. He is now I think he's like the head of the treasury or something. Pretty smart, but he's got friends in the MIT community who oppose like what he thinks, and it's not like they oppose it, they just don't think it's going to work, and it's not going to work because of the reasons I just stated. But we had things like in 1999, like the Hollywood Stock Exchange. You know, you want to say, oh, crypto, oh, games, like how can you make money online, play to earn? Well, YouTubers make money online, magic internet money. So it's the best way to think about it. All your multiple income streams that you just throw everything at the wall, everything. And you'll start to see $10 from this, $10 from that, $10, and you'll see these little magical internet money income streams come into play. Hollywood Stock Exchange was a web-based multiplayer game. It simulated money to buy and sell shares of actors who were popular at the time, directors who were great at the time, upcoming films that were hyped at the time, film-related options. So options just means that, like, this movie looks great, everybody's thinking it's going to do awesome, I'm going to buy an option that I'm basically going to say, go against it, right? Short it. Max Kaiser. This dude has been into the crypto against Peter Schiff. Like, not against Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff's his own thing. He's his own issue. But we live in a new world. So Max Kaiser, not to say that asset prices will not come back down to earth, you guys, because we can take a look over here. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know how to do some chart reading. We'll let that load on up. We'll bring up, I don't know if I would pull up the BTC dominance. Alright, so there's the Hollywood Stock Exchange. So this was from a patent that Max Kaiser develops. Max Kaiser's a massive, I mean, he's all about the El Salvador volcano bonds. You know, I've been watching him for like 7 years. He's a macroeconomics. He's a Wall Street options trader, and he's just, you know, at a certain, like, not everybody decides to choose to be a dick, and some people will go against the grain and voice their opinion. This guy's one of them, and he's been in the Wall Street. He's been in the financial markets. He's seen the financial industry. Like, you know, it's a stupid game where it screws the public every time. It screws the public. It screws the people who don't know about the things that I'm talking about right now. So we'll go ahead and close that. So it's a game. Hollywood Stock Exchange back in 1999 made tons of money trading all those digital pretend stocks on directors, and because you're getting celebrities. Celebrities are going to be opening on an Ameritrade. Essentially, what you would call it. So celebrities are getting involved in the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which is online gameplay, you know, and you cash out your token. That's what this is. Digital friend. This is like, that's exactly, so this is a game. Avagachi, right? It's a game, right? We just playing around here. Okay, so here's Ave. Does $11.66 billion look like a game? Does that sound like you want to play around with that? You want to come in here and start fucking around with some Avalanche protocols and like trying to like get money out of it, unlock it? It's held in equity. It's held in escrow. And what escrow is in this game is these little ghosts. You basically take some money, you mint yourself a little Avalanche. He gets locked up half of an Ethereum to create him. He's got a little Ethereum logo right on his forehead. That's what he'll look like. Or maybe you make Bitcoin out of him. He's going to be blue. He's going to have a little Bitcoin. Or you give him a mask, or you give him all these other accessories. Now, there's a whole universe to this game. But what he is he is one Ethereum or one Bitcoin locked in time for a set amount of time. He's in escrow. And you can take him and play around in the game with him, resell him to someone else. He's a little smart contract, okay? ERC, oh my gosh. Things have moved and it's been so overwhelming. People just asking me about this stuff. I just almost don't even want to follow it all. But he's a little escrow I mean, he's got money in there, but there is a full-on... We can get more into it. Here it is. We can get more into it maybe later. Feeling overwhelmed, friend? There's Ethereum. There's MetaMask, like this up here that I have. There's Aave and A tokens. This is what are put together to create the little Avalanches. There's non-fungible tokens, and then there's Avalanche, right? So you can go in, you can check this out. But what the story is, these Avalanche ghosts are come from a Latin culture called Day of the Dead. I think Coco. There's a movie from Disney. It's really good. I like it. Carter bags on it, whatever, little turd. He talks, or basically the Latin movie is constantly, it's a Little Spirits, Day of the Dead, Dios de Muertes. Oh my god, I'm gonna look it up. Day of the Dead. And so like their family or ancestors get to come back. It's this. So if you read the Avalanche white paper, which is not this document, but the Avalanche white paper explains how you go out, you farm yield. The reason you lock these little ghosts up is so that you can collateralize them and then earn percentage on them also. Right? It'd be something kind of like staking. And what you're doing in the game is you're going out and farming. So you literally have to go out and can physically do this in the gameplay. Or you can use your Ledger Nano X or S to lock and stake via this in its own software. Because now you're able to do that. Take one Ethereum or something, plug it into that, stake it, get 9% of DAI token back. That's pretty dang good. And this right here is how Ghost token, which is the Avalanche, little Gachi, gotcha gang, gotcha gang, gotcha gang, gotcha gang. How the Gachi Ghost token does a bonding yield curve in the back end of, this is basically, to think about this, the decentralized autonomous organization governance rewards. So if you own tokens, you can come in here and vote on what the game's going to do, rarity farming rewards. Your Ghost token plugs into consumable things in the game, wearables in the game, portals in the game. And this is the back end of it. You think of it like a server. The front end, soft, nice, looks cool. Cool little sounds. Little gachis. You got a Gachi Bazaar. Pixel. 2001 Pixel Craft Studio. Back end. Solid mathematics. Giant turning cogs that are locked together. Indefinitely locked together. They're not soft, malleable, buggable. I mean, you know, essentially not too buggable. Solid money cogs spinning in the back end. Front end, California, looks great. Looks awesome. Looks amazing. Back end, where cogs are and machinery is, not good. But in this game, great. Look how big it's gotten. 11.66 billion locked in this. Now, we can talk about other ones, LMK, but DeFi Llama, it's obviously one of the ones where I go. Other games, because NFTs are the thing. Now, whether they're basketball NFTs, baseball NFTs, maybe there'll be real estate NFTs here shortly. There'll be an established protocol for that, an international protocol eventually for real estate. Axie scholarships. What is an Axie scholarship? Scholarship is when a manager, somebody who has plenty of these Axies, you know, Ethereum used to only be like a couple $100 just a few years ago. It's bizarre that it's retreating. I think we'll see under 1,000 ETH again, because the network cost is just too much, you know, especially if sharding ever does come into play. I think sharding, but then there's things like ZK Sync, ZK Sync, which is a pretty big deal in the development, because it I'm not a developer, but basically it eliminates the issue that optimistic rollups have had. As far as like trust and handing off trust, it makes it pretty much like a layer, puts it like back on layer 1 or something, which is a pretty big deal. Let's go ahead and click in here. We can look at some different things, but this ZK Sync for Ethereum, massive big deal. Massive big deal. I do want to say that I'm not a developer, although if I was smart, I would go and start doing that. It's a scaling and privacy engine for Ethereum. Its current functionality scope includes low gas. That's the biggest problem, especially with these big institutions who have lots of these tax documents. They gotta get 3 tax aid. You know, if you're a big company, you have to actually have a couple different people vet your stuff before you know, be like, all right, it looks about right, and then submit it to an authority or governing body. You know, it's kind of like, if you're a big company, it's a hard task to do, but with blockchain, it makes it super simple and cheap and easy, and like tons of people can validate in like a second. It's not a hard issue. It's one directional. It's great. And kind of like the mathematic thing behind it, it's not that hard of a concept to grasp. With encryption, it's like this. Multiplication goes a direction to where you can use division if you have, and go backwards. So most of the time, multiplication and division mirror themselves, if you follow me. With the encryption and stuff like that, it makes it so the multiplication factor, the computational, cannot go back the other direction, because each block, every 10 minutes, each block has to be hashed with a lot of strength and hash, multiplication, computed from knowledge of the preceding block. And if you lack the preceding block, you can't start taking that key piece of data and running computation on all this new incoming data. I hope that makes some sense. ERC20 on Ethereum. So it's atomic swaps and limit order sell. All right, so ZK Rollup was the layer 2 that I think that a lot of people were using. Rollup competes with, I think, Optimism. I don't know. There's zero knowledge proof, snark. So there's a couple of these. Definitely take some time. Maybe I should sit down and do some speaking about this, because that's a pretty big deal. But gaming, like, you think this $11 billion, Sony doesn't see that locked up in DeFi in something that looks like that? I mean, this is old school, you guys. This is from a couple years ago. So. But this thing is still updated, it's still current. Anytime new protocols come in, these guys integrate. If you're an Avalanche fan, you know, typically people become fans of what they make currency on, and that's what they begin to learn. Their learning journey can start for themselves. Axie scholarships. So if you have a lot of these NFT game characters, you can go in this game, play, get rewards back, which is actually play to earn. You can literally convert that right into whatever your native currency is, whatever it is. So a player who can't afford their own Axie to play the game can use someone else's Axies. And I've spoke to my tech support about this, and I can confirm that it is totally a thing in the Philippines, where obviously some passive side income would be like, you know, 20-30 bucks a day for them, which can be about 500 bucks a month for them in USD terms. And my tech support and I did the math. Like, we talked about this extensively. But he does it. I think his wife passed away in a car crash. And, so he's got 2 kids. And it was he was really, really cool guy to talk to. Great conversation. But yeah, he's playing Axie. He was holding on to his SLP, which is a Sleepy Love Potion, which is what essentially this game produces. This is what, when you play this game, you become incentivized to want to get more SLP. When the price of SLP goes up, a lot of people sell it and cash out. When it goes down, people tend to hold it because they're still playing the game, so they just accumulate it. And so these things go on and on. And scholarships, an Axie scholarship, is when people, for the first 6 months, which is what he said he was on, because he didn't have, it's like $1,200 to buy 3 Axies. You have to mint them. And go read the white paper, because the games are interesting. I mean, these games are cool. When you actually sit down and read the game, it's like, oh, it's fun. It sounds like a cool arcade game. Not even arcade. I mean, this one, they're very intricate. They make you think too. This ain't easy money when you're playing these games. Like, they get you involved. And nowadays, with how popular crypto is, you could throw a t-shirt on with a little Axie monster, or make some custom stuff for yourself, throw that on, and a couple people are going to recognize that as an Axie. They probably aren't going to be your grandmother, though. FYI. Nintendo, Microsoft, they're all coming, right? I mean, these are protocols that are running on their own. So we got that. Let's go ahead and I want to talk about that ZK Sync at some point. The energy sector, and there's some things moving. Energy sector's up like 38% of inflation. I mean, everything is in energy, which is a pretty big deal. But it's weird that National Public Radio right here, he said, what could make Russia turn its energy sector into a weapon? Oh, what? So basically, I mean, that's kind of crazy, saying that like a giant civilization that consumes energy and electricity or thermal or any form is a danger to another. Like, this is kind of scary to say. Energy, well, everything. I mean, it's like saying me pedaling on a bike, I could use that energy in the form of charging a taser. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just, Europe gets 40% of its natural gas from Russia, cuts its supply retaliation for possible future sanctions. So this is what would be an immediate blow to the West in the long term. So this is what countries do. They don't actually wait for. They use their economic strength to lean on other smaller ones to get kind of what they want, or whatever whoever's in charge or powers that be, to get that strength over the other and submit. And the only thing you can really do, especially if you're a smaller guy, I mean, I'm 5'10", all right, I got my weights on, but what this means is that if you are in the underdog position, all you can do is save and not spend. Save, pray, not spend. You can't do anything. You have to strengthen your belt, your household belt. You have to tighten your spending. You have to tighten. You have to cut. You have to get rid of things. Starve. Get hungry. Bare bones. Run on bare bones. And that's the only way to grow. If you're a smaller underdog country. So we can see energy sector is up top. I think there's the ETFs, so the big money that pushes energy and markets and stuff. They're doing great. They really are, and everything else is pretty much getting wrecked because of inflation, and people don't have to have cupcakes and brownies and sparkles and unicorns, but they do have to have fuel. So we can see that this line is staying pretty constant here. It looks, my instructor, when I got on the call the other day, And this is something he pointed out because I did see it, but I just haven't been looking at the chart. Empire. The Empire. So this looks like an empire. Fractal. Look at this. Empire means we all gonna see. There's nothing is for certain in this world. Be everything as it may. Let's throw some tools on here. Let's make it a little bit more colorful. So, first thing I like to see is I see it comes down. If it's making this comeback, if it's making this audio wave, if it's making this light wave, if it's making this whatever's going on here, if it comes back and breaks right on this, if it can't break this 38.2 with a strength of at least 50%, right now it's 64, so it's above that negative 50, which is good, but this chart, it's got too much crap on it. Anyways, oh my gosh. So, I should just use that tool instead. But all in all, we are more than likely going to be respecting this. If we come in here, we can see there's bottom, low, lower low. So there's a high, higher low. So depending on what momentum's going to do here, I guess I should take all that, not all that back, but look at the volume. Look, the price here at this volume was like this. So if we're going to say this much volume equals this much price, then we should expect that this much volume should equal this much price. Now if we look at the stairs coming down, that was an RLZ in case this did flip up into a bear. But you can see we're kind of breaking some of these key supports. So nothing, the volume signals that the price has further to work itself down. That would be the most solid foundation for making this assessment. If we come up to, let's say, Avalanche, it's looking like it's gaining some strength, but look, volume is pretty far down. But if volume comes up, it's going to bring that price up too. So I would say if I'm going to purchase anything, I would almost want to purchase Avalanche before I'd purchase some other things. You can take a look at ETH. A lot of people say the Bitcoin dominance, which is Bitcoin versus Ethereum, so this is all of the market cap that's in here, could come back more into Bitcoin, which is kind of what tends to happen. I mean, people leave these other smaller ones as they begin to get wrecked harder, faster, they jump back into Bitcoin because they're already crypto adopted. I mean, they're crypto thinkers, they're Bitcoin thinkers, their psyche has changed in the direction, so they're continuing on with their lives, and a lot of the goal is to obviously accumulate Berkshire Hathaway. Just kidding. Not Berkshire. Yeah. So, with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that helps. I'm hoping that a little bit of sense is made. A little bit more sense is made, maybe, of what we're talking about here. Do 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 do. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Hopefully that Arizona stuff passes and you learned a little bit about cash, wildcat banking, Bitcoin, legal tender. Deuces.